Yes, approve.
Cool.
Okay, we are live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On today's show of a very special guest. His name is Andrew Clinton, CLIN, just like the president, CLINTON. I was just on his show, The 6G Agenda, and we're talking during the show and off show about some of these things that are going on. Like, why did he name his show The 6G Agenda? Right? 5G, 4G. 6G is something else. He sent me this document from Samsung. It's called The Next Hyper Connected Experience for All. And it's incredible. Like the terminology and the saturation and the omniscience of it all, of this huge plan of like different, just, I mean, it's just like all encompassing data everywhere you move, but also just like holograms, digital replicas. It's really a Philip K. Dick. We were talking the pre-show, but I'm glad to
Definitely.
have him on my show. So, Andrew, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, William. Very excited. Yeah, no, I have a podcast called 6G Agenda. We definitely, we get deep on kind of just, esoteric patterns of, symbology, secret societies and all that, but also how it's progressed with the conditioning of the mind, manipulation. And I think they perfected it and now they're going to go digital. And that's kind of what we're talking about here with the 6G agenda. I think that it's going to be, we'll be plugged in matrix style, hence the style of my logo.
Right, like it's really incredible. Like you got the Matrix things going on, but this, though it was part of these movies that all came out in 1999 that were really something else. There was something about a banner year of The Matrix, Eyes Wide Shut, Fight Club, all
Mm-hmm.
came out on the same date, but they're all kind of like the secret society type stuff and the surveillance and this alternate reality and things like that. But like in the a word that comes to mind is technosis, this kind of mixing of advanced technology and occultism. Like, why isn't why isn't Christianity or some of these other religions, they don't seem to push man's advancement through technology. It's through connection with God or doing God's will. Whatever, Judaism or
Mm-hmm.
Muslims or there's but this is something different. Whereas like the Luciferianism and the Gnostics, it's like you're the God, you're the avatar. You can make these things happen. You should change. You should upgrade yourself. Um,
It becomes a digital gnosis if you think about it. And when you look at it from the Gnostic perspective with the demiurge, I kind of have this argument that people that are Gnostics believe that we're on a prison planet. And so, or that we're in a simulation created by these demiurge. So then in turn, they're going to create that exact thing. And I believe that their belief that we are in this prison planet and this simulation is going to essentially cause them to put us into one. And then we're going to be really in that. So it's almost like this reverse psychology gotcha kind of deal with that they're kind of playing. If you look at it from the Gnostic perspective, that is kind of how I look at it.
David Icke says we're in a simulation, but there's a solution, right? So the simulation is this artificial thing, or the demiurge is keeping us back. It goes all the way back to really, if you're kind of a Christian perspective, it goes all the way back to the first century, these challenges and these other things changing and the Gnosticism
Oh, yeah.
that are still that they were battling against these kind of concepts and views that kind of entered into Christianity, where Christ God or the Father is this beneficial, beneficent being, and these other guys are like, no, this is not true. They're keeping the information from you too. That's also a
Mm-hmm.
Gnostic view and a Luciferian view, where God keeps. It's not in the Garden of Good and Evil. It's not the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It's a tree of knowledge. So knowledge is going to save you. So all of these tech gods, Teal, Musk, um, Yarvin we mentioned. We also talked about I talked about Andreessen, some of these other characters. They are all kind of like we're going to have this knowledge is going to be a benefit for you. So I think that that's all real. Anyway, I think Andrew dropped off, but they've talked about other things like that. I was on a show. We talked. There was other things about the Smiley Face Killer 764. I'll put a link to the 6G Agenda podcast if you get a chance. You can check that out. But a lot of this stuff is weird. This document is something else. The one that I mentioned at the beginning of the show, it's the 6G hyperconnected experience for all. And some of the terminology, like they have it down, and the machine is the main user, and the AI is going to be like put into this whole thing. But the 6G services section is really something else because it's kind of the cloud, but totally immersive XR, which stands for extended reality. So you're going to have fully high fidelity mobile holograms. So people would think of like a hologram as a something stationary in your house or something like that, like the newest version of Blade Runner. This is going to be like a hologram that follows you around. Like you're literally going to be in like this whole thing. And this they use the term in this document. Let me see if I can bring it up. It's really something else because this document is it's like referencing, not probably intentional, but it's like referencing things from uh Philip K. Dick. So the digital replica or the replicant is the kind of story about this stuff. And it's just crazy. And they have what's really interesting about this whole document too is the expected market sizes. The market shares are like close. We're close to this time. We're hurtling forward. But AR and VR will be alternate reality will be 44 billion and 87 billion within the next 5 years. Like these are huge markets. These are off the charts.
AI
So
surveillance is coming.
yeah,
Man, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll tell you what. If the tech gods are inside of this technology, or the the demiurge are inside this technology, then definitely gotta watch out. But yeah, I keep getting shut down. We've been trying
yeah,
to
we've
run
been
this.
having a rough time. They must not like you. I don't
Yeah,
think they
no, they
want
don't.
people to know what's coming
I think we're
because
talking about the core of it, because we also talk about the fact that alternative media, and the fact that they know that mainstream media fell and
yeah.
that it's just collapsed, so they've 100% captured. And we try to poke holes in things that nobody talks about, and try to look at the objective version of what's going on. Just like you got the crazy right left, now you have the mainstream and the main alternative stream media. So now you've got to just keep re-breaking down, and always be adaptive whenever it comes to this.
Guys, if people haven't, you don't know what's going on in the backstory. Like I did a show on StreamYard with perfect clarity, perfect audio clarity before this show. And 10 minutes later, I put Andrew on and we couldn't get into established. I went on and I did like a new studio. That didn't work. And now we're back on Zoom. And who knows what's going on. Anyway, I
Yeah, I
mean, I
pay
think
I
it's
pay Zoom, so that's probably part of it, right?
okay. Well, I hope so. But I mean, I'm going over this document. People will see this if they're watching the video. But these replicants, like in Blade Runner by Philip K. Dick, they talk about replicants. This is where we're headed for. They're going to have like robots that are going to be like replicants. And the real twist for people who don't know about Blade Runner is whether the Harrison Ford character is a replicant himself. So he's like a robot chasing the other robots, and his dreams are fake, right? And they know it. Some of the other cops know it. That's the whole thing. The when they take the unicorn and place that before him, the origami unicorn, the guy's telling him he knows he's a replicant, right? That's like the twist. So like that's how deep reality is going to get. Like and
And that's deep. Yeah, I
yeah,
didn't get right.
yeah,
I
no,
love
no, it gets
That's
really
why I
deep.
love listening to you and Isaac as well. The way you guys kind of break down some stuff. Like I'll find little symbology here and there, but it is layers always that I've noticed it. That's why I
Dick,
enjoy some.
Philip Dick was super sophisticated. He's very well, he was really a man of letters in a lot of ways. Like he knew the Bible and he knew a lot of he was clearly reading other science fiction. But he put stuff into his works that are like crazy because what's also crazy uh Blade Runner is that the the robots are more human than the humans who like they have enough time, but these robots know that death is ticking. So they live extreme lives. Like they're more alive in some ways than the actual real humans, which is and more empathetic. They know they're aware of death, they're aware of these things that we have to go through that we push off or avoid or things like that. So those themes are all there and Do
Y-
androids dream of electric sheep?
Definitely.
That's the whole play on the thing, because in his dreams, Decker is dreaming about the unicorn, right? And then his cohort gives him the origami unicorn. He's saying to him, I know you're not real, right? That's because I know what your
Mm.
fake dreams are. I know what the dreams that the corporation gave you, right?
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah, and I love what you added there with the people and how humans may, how they portray humans progressing in the future and chemically induced dehumanization, through what we see it already kind of to a sense with the food and medication and everything else. It's clearly doing something to
there's
people.
no question. I've
Hmm.
had people in my life who personality change, like, whoa, you are out of your, what's going on? You're not fully there anymore. So, and you have to ask that question, like, we're in a Philip K. Dick. How much of your personality is yours? If you watch TV all the time, I think they really have a capacity to kind of low level hypno program your character.
Oh
I think
yeah,
that's super dangerous. Like, that's incredible. What you're putting in front of a flashing two-dimensional screen. Like, it's scary. I've told other people in other shows too, like, go out at night at 8 o'clock at night if you're in suburbia and just walk around and just look at the flashing light windows from people's house. They are just, it's called programming for a reason. Like, literally there's
it
flashing
is.
lights and the guy's just sitting there like
And
almost
whenever
like a science fiction zombie movie. Like, it's that bad.
Oh yeah. And whenever you look into like the Cold War and what they were doing and the mind control aspect of it, it was a lot of light strobes and certain frequencies, which is exactly what you'll find your TV, your radio functioning at. And then also even the Oculus, like what you see today that people use that Oculus game, VR thing, the exact same contraption you can find in like declassified files of KGB style like mind control contraptions that they would put on people to try to hack their memory or whatever it might be, make a Manchurian candidate, all these things. And so, yeah, it's pretty nuts, man. I think that all they did was perfect it. And that's kind of what, that's why I always
There's
try
a
to point
like
out.
they should do like MK Ultra 6G or something. Like, we're past this whole like
That's what it's going to be.
we
That's what,
burned all the documents because you learned everything in 20 years. You didn't need the documents anymore. The
well, and
research was over.
that's the point of the ChatGPT too, because anything that did leak out, right, through the internet, oh, it's gonna all go away whenever we're all locked into our AI companion like search engines, right? Where our search engines are all just AI telling you what the information is you're looking for, rather than being able to go to the source on the internet like you can today, at least scarcely. They're definitely, memory hole and things already. But
Yeah. That's part of the strange thing about so-called censorship. They like to call it censorship, but it was much more than that. It was memory holding and adjusting reality.
mhm,
That's what they were doing, and
1984.
it was so bad. A lot of people don't know, but they think that it was flagged by the algorithm or Algol's rhythm or however you want to put it. But
Mhm.
there were people within the party, the Democratic Party, who would flag stuff that either talked about certain things and they would have them take it down. So it was like almost like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where like somebody would go, that guy knows too much. We got to get him off the attack. Like, they knew it secretly. Isn't that crazy? That
It's
like the
exactly right.
guy who lives down the street is like busting you for talking.
It's the Bolshevik secret police. It's the fucking, the Shvekva or whatever it was called. It's
Cheka,
it's
yeah,
definitely, yep. And
good,
then the
yeah.
Politburo, I believe whenever Biden was president, they even jokingly called themselves the Politburo, the
I
people that
didn't
were
know
actually
that.
running. Yeah, the people that are actually running the cabinet, those young, because I believe it was like a younger kind of class of people in the cabinet. And Biden was obviously auto penning and they were doing the writing of what he was auto penning.
If you were part of the party, if you were part of the Democratic Party, wouldn't that be optimal is to have some blunderhead like Biden running things who's like
Oh
sleeping
yeah,
18 or 20 hours a day? Like, yeah,
100%.
let's put
Yep,
Biden up there
that's
and let's
exactly right.
steal the election and then we have all the power we want. We can just auto pen, make our own decision. We don't have to pass anything through the boss. We'll just
Hmm.
do it. And like the people, you agree to it, Bob? Like all these other people, these bureaucrats or apparatchiks or whatever you want to call it, were running the government for
Oh
4
yeah.
years. Censorship, warfare, like Third World War in Russia. They transported all those bombs over for October 7th. Like we dropped the equivalent of 6 nuclear bombs on Gaza, all from the U.S. And that was all
And we
transported
funded
under
it.
Biden. Yeah.
Yep. And what's funny is during Biden that also, they covered their ass because no president can be tried now, and
It's perfect.
yeah, it's perfect. Everything worked out, yeah, it's crazy how that works. I do have some crazy patents to kind of go along with
Right.
this Samsung white papers that they put out. Microsoft has a teleportation system that they patented that's essentially a holographic teleportation system, which is exactly what we see in these papers. And so we're seeing real time patents coming out now. Technology's there, or at least very close.
It's incredible. And this is like they're telling you what they need for the thing to generate the stuff. But the AI, all of that aggregation of AI computers can do this stuff now because it can be repurposed because it's just so much power and generation that eventually the GPU capability may actually allow this stuff. I
Well,
could see
that's why they're
that
building
happening.
a data center the size of Manhattan. Zuckerberg is up in, I believe, Minnesota, and then also in Texas. Project Stargate was essentially just a monstrous AI data center that they're building in Texas, which maybe you've seen pictures of already it being developed. So it's all in development, and they got camps being paid for as well, in case anybody has anything to say about it, unless I mean I don't know what the plans is with that for sure because it's not immigrants. They kind of put the kibosh on getting rid of any illegals. It's got to be something else.
Incredible. And look at the 6G. They're talking about 3,000 gigahertz of knowledge. I mean, think about what you can do. I was talking to you like I'm on a 5G, like I think I'm on 100 gigs or something. That's why
Mm-hmm.
it's strange that we couldn't communicate, but like imagine what you could do at 3,000 like and this document's something else. It's just like they're talking about not just one connection to one thing, but total immersion with data everywhere, coming from all angles. So you never have to be off the system.
Yep, we've went in depth about that. The Internet of Things and Internet of Bodies is a episode we did where we discussed all the different smart things that you have that will be tied to your credit score system. They will also be tied to your biometrics. You have Sam Altman's got an orb that you scan your iris and you get a biometric code that says that you're human and it verifies whether you're human or not. So
Bro,
these
that's
type of
right out of Blade Runner
yes.
again.
Dude,
Holy
yeah, and that's
smokes.
real. That's I believe Europe's adopted this. And now Europe just made a new bill where you have to have some kind of biometric verification just to get on social media now. So we're seeing it being rolled out. It's not very far away. And we already have all how they built all the stoplight cameras throughout America a
Mhm.
long time ago. And then a lot of people, they were trying to send tickets at first. That was the whole purpose of it at first. Then, of course, people came out with the obvious, well, you can't tell if it was me or not. So then they stopped doing that. Well, I don't believe that. I think that was just the smokescreen just to get the cameras there because they never went away. And now we have the AI infrastructure and the security uh, portion of the bill that just came out that's going to be funding it. So it's being rolled out for sure.
It's interesting you say that because they've caught criminals these days with those stoplight cameras. So the camera suppose it's only for you giving you a ticket. That's what, like you said, there's
Mm-hmm.
that public consumption element to it. But yeah, they're using it. They know all the stuff. So the full CCTV immersion is already
Oh
here.
yeah, it is. Yeah, digital license plate readers and then your digital ID. Everything's going to be you're going to be nice and tracked for sure. They got a mind reading interface that Meta came out with as well, where they can alter your dreams, mess with read your mind, make sure that you're not again. Maybe you're saying one thing and you're thinking another. That's not going to be a thing for long. You know.
Wow, that's crazy. So like a next level lie detector test.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. I mean, mesh type network topology, that's what they're talking about. You're going to be in a mesh. You're not going to be going from cell phone to cell phone tower. That's over. And then non-terrestrial components like satellites, flying HAPs or whatever they're calling them. Unbelievable stuff. Like it's
What worries me when I think about that is if you do think about the Matrix and how it talks about he holds up the battery and he said this is what we are. I think that at a point it may become that because if you do look at the technology and if they are really doing some crazy Enochian magic style technology that they're making, and that really is the source of kind of where they're getting all this intelligence from, because a lot of people say, we got all this from, IBM got it the chip stuff from UFOs and aliens. Well, I understand the concept of a lot of very intelligent people say that they had, their brain's like a receiver and they transmitted with a thing and it told them how to make X, Y, or Z, how to invent stuff. We're talking Isaac Newton, Einstein, Nikola Tesla, very, prominent people. And I think when you look at it that way, and if you do think about it from the sense of if there are any trickster entities, this would be the way to do it. And they're making technology that can feed off of human cells, and things like that, where it's like once biology and synthetic biology start mixing together, it just gets a little sus.
That's what they said part of COVID was a big experiment on people to see what they could get in your body. They say a lot of us have MAC numbers now that were
That's what
inserted
it
through
is.
this. Yeah, it's called a
See,
MAC number.
you told so when you came on my show, you mentioned that. I swear, since then, I've been trying to figure out. You said you should get a Mac reader, right? And I had
That
never heard of that.
people are saying that it has. When there were weird clips out there when COVID first came out and the shots were rolled out in 21 or 22, where people had a Mac reader, right? Because it's a universal identifier in a network, right? Because you can do it and get your MAC number from a computer or your phone. But
Mm.
they said that there were dead bodies in the ground and they were giving off a MAC number. Like that's creepy. They couldn't figure it out, like what's going on. And
Yep.
that means that they were injected with something other than a quote vaccine, unquote. Like they're screwing around with people's the Internet of Things. They made
Oh
it
yeah.
people the
They're
Internet of Things
creating it. Yep. And that's where we're at, dude. 100%. I
without
think that
consent. No
yeah,
consent.
yeah. And the mRNA vaccine, they had to figure out a way to get that out so they could get this messenger, whatever the hell that is, where it just alters your DNA. I mean, that's got to have something to do with it. And I had somebody on that mentioned that, he's kind of looks at things from like kind of biblical, but not religious. He's a funny guy, but he did say something about how, in the days of Noah, they were doing this type of activity, which is why you get this whole crazy Anunnaki story of changing our genes, uh, genetic engineering. And then that's a blasphemy to
Noah was pure in all of his generations.
yes. And so by that shows that the biggest thing that you could do wrong is to alter your humanity on a genetic level, especially. And I think that, yeah, whenever it says in there as well, it'll be like the days of Noah. Now, I'm not a religious person, but I do think there's something to a prophet, right? There's got to be something to a prophet sometimes, and here and there. So, I wonder.
I wonder too. I mean,
Yeah,
it said that at the
never
end of the
know.
world, it would be like the days of Noah. So, like, that's one of the overt, obvious prophecies. And like, these guys are think that they're Gnostics who can like, you know, cure our ailments and give us immortality. It's like, whoa, you sure you want to be a prisoner of infinity? Do you want to be immortal in this? Who
Right.
knows?
I don't
Like,
know, especially not a
yeah.
digital version, that somebody programs. I mean, that's crazy. 100%.
I mean,
Yeah,
we're
it's
at the point of like we're having to reconsider human life. Like, whoa, like you guys are screwing around and tampering with stuff without people's consent. Like the Hippocratic Oath
mhm.
means do no harm, and this whole COVID rollout was just devastating. Like, the
Oh yeah.
numbers, the accurate numbers of how many people died is like in the millions.
Well, that's a good point, because I think that I heard something recently that talked about, Elon meeting Grimes was because of this weird dark philosophy that, some kind of theories that the cybernetic research unit, culture research unit was kind of doing, which is some weirdness all in itself. But within it, they were talking about what is it to be human, right? And I think really at the end of the day, if you think about it, it's your consciousness. And if you hook up a Neuralink, I think that now you are no longer human just right there. Just that's all it takes. So as soon as you start even entertaining that, you're no longer, I mean, that's what you've done. You've changed it because we always say that that's what changes us from an animal is our ability to perceive ourselves, right? And self-conscious beings.
They're gonna have different like acronyms for people, like a human, augmented human,
Mm-hmm.
Homo galacticus. Like that's like how scary it could be. Like, have you done? I mean, you kind of already have bionic people. If you look at like I know
Slightly.
people in my family who've had like two hip replacements, knee replacement,
Oh
all
yeah.
kinds of stuff, like pacemaker. I imagine all
Mm-hmm.
those like the trifecta. I've heard, and I know people who've had their full spine. I've heard of people like they replace all of not your disc but your vertebrae with metal.
Mhm.
Like imagine that.
Oh yeah. Any listeners that may know who Kevin Gates is, he's a rapper, but he's got this. He said that I just saw something the other day. It's funny you just reminded me of that. He said that he had his trachea or something replaced with a metallic something. So his voice sounds almost like a harmonica sometimes. The way he
Wow.
that's why he's a musician. And that reminds me of that, we aren't far from that.
Mm-mm.
It's very crazy.
6G,
But
but you also talk, I mean, you say you're not religious, but I know you've used the term beast system, right?
oh,
Like
we
the
have
signal
definitely. I
chain.
mean, I think that, like I said, there's something to, I do think that, whenever you get down to it, there's something to the idea that time's not linear. I'm sure some people have tapped into, future and past. And I think that there's something to, some prophecies to an extent. I don't think you can put a time on it. But I do think that there was a time whenever the veil was very thin. I do think that not all the Gnostic teachings are super are a lie. Like the theosophical teachings can't. I don't think that they're all a lie. I don't subscribe to either Christianity or like theist. I'm just kind of in the middle where I'm like, there's probably some truth here and here, and I kind of just whatever goes with my own discernment and kind of feels correct. Like it's not selfish. It's kind of along the lines of that kind of stuff. So.
You're a young guy though, man. You're seeing stuff like the world has never seen. Like in my day, a Walkman was high technology. This is
Mm-hmm.
something different. Like we had this dial-up phone that you'd have to take your phone from the wall and stick it on something, and you could do very rudimentary exchanges, but like you guys are experiencing things like
Oh
that
yeah.
are unimaginable, like incredible. The accelerationism, like Yarvin and the Dark Enlightenment is all about accelerationism, isn't it? I don't know.
Oh man, I could
Yeah.
break down that for you a little
Yeah.
bit. He wrote something called the Patchwork System, which was pretty much a blog because he was essentially just a blogger. But his whole family worked as feds. They were all deep in Washington D.C. He's very deep with all the tech guys. They all love his philosophy. So he's the type of guy to not have a verified check mark on social media, but be very deep rooted with some very high powerful people. So it's very high hidden in plain sight. But anyway, so he's got a couple things he says in there that really stands out. One of them is he wants to run it kind of like just get rid of the democracy status quo style of running and just replace it with essentially like a CEO king with patches, right? So each patch is ran like a corporation. And the residents don't really get a say in how it works, right? They just kind of live there and that's it. And if you don't like it, you can move. You get the option. But that kind of gives way to see, because they look at it this way, that the more high profile people that live in each patch would bring up the value of that patch. So then eventually you would have people that were unwanted, right? I would assume, like it would just become an elitist scenario very quickly. And he even says that the underclass of before could be turned into biodiesel fuel to power the
Wow.
minibuses.
That's
And then
dark.
he says, I'm just kidding. Of course, everybody would kind of, feel terrible that the previous underclass was being used to power their buses. But instead, what we should do is virtualize them. We should put them in little pods and find a way to just keep them there good and virtualize them. So that's
Incredible.
exactly what we're looking at now with this technology. This is somebody who, he jokes, but I think there's some serious underlying.
They all do this kind of funny inside jokes, but I mean, if you look at the really malevolent ideologies of the past, it's always about us and them. So
Oh
whether
yeah.
it's like the not Aryans and the non-Aryans, or the humans and the subhumans, or people in communism, it was we're the revolutionaries and you're the reactionaries. This is an inevitable revolution of world peace and harmony and happiness, and you guys are against us, so we can get rid of all of you. And
Yeah.
that's it's also O9A. I know you've done a show on the O9A.
Oh yeah.
O9A is the same thing. So
Mm-hmm.
and that allows you to farm them and get rid of them. Crowley was the same way. All this, it's very satanic.
Yeah, and duality is a part of their hermetic systems of universal law, and so yeah, you've got to have the white, black, red, blue polarity.
Yeah.
It's just the way that the dichotomies are how you kind of call people into. I always say it's multiple drains that lead to the same sewer. So that's just everything we see.
Yeah. crazy.
It's our job to have discernment. Like we talked about earlier, we're being pumped with chemicals and frequencies and heavy metals that are there to destroy that exact thing. So
Yeah,
you
the
got to really
graphene
work the,
oxide. Yeah, you got to get it
yep.
out of your
You
body.
got to work that muscle, you got to really work that discernment muscle and really be engaged in thought, not just drone through life because they'll catch you slipping for sure.
They will catch you slipping. Andrew, we only get 40 minutes. I did not pay for
No worries.
Zoom. We should have went on your Zoom
Oh, it's okay.
because, but
We'll have to do another. We had, some
yeah,
hiccups, so we'll definitely get
Let's
another.
do
It's been
Yarvin.
great.
Let's cover Yarvin and
We
like
will.
his ideas because I'd like to get into him. I've seen him on other podcasts, so I'll do some research on my side. Where can
Definitely.
people listen to the 6G agenda?
Yeah, we're on all platforms, Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. It's 6G Agenda. That's it. We're doing what we can. We put out about 2 a week. We've been real consistent. We've only been in the
Nice.
game for a few months, but we're up to like 30 something episodes. So
Oh, nice.
plenty to check out. We've been going hard. So
And you're on social media too, right? You're on X, Twitter,
yeah,
something.
definitely. You'll find a 6G Agenda on everything. 6G Agenda podcast on TikTok. But other than that, me and
Oh,
Justin Ward on the chords. We'll see you there at 6G Agenda. If you
yeah.
slide through, that'd be awesome.
Justin Ward and Andrew Clinton, 6G agenda, 30 episodes, really good stuff, like topics that I'm definitely interested in. And we
Fort
actually
Bragg, our
got
first episode, man, we came out swinging. We talked about psyops and how Fort Bragg was created as the psyop. It's the place where the psyops are born. Where it comes from, and we really did a deep dive on that. So definitely check that out. It's our
did
first episode, but
Tulsi Gabbard at Bragg? I don't know. I wonder.
I'm not sure. I have checked that, but I know Sean Ryan. There's many, but it's 250 miles big. But when it comes to psyops and people connected to psyops, if they have Fort Bragg history, there's really just no other
Does
connection.
Sean Ryan have a Fort Bragg history?
Mm-hmm. And
Wow.
intelligence.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. And so did the Matt Liversberger guy. We break down that whole thing with the Trump,
Right.
this was my big thing that we'll have to talk about this as well. Cause yeah, I mean, the Tesla bombing outside Trump Tower, the whole deal, it's crazy.
The
So,
Trump
yeah.
monolith. It's a big golden monolith, dude. Like
Mhm.
that's an whole nother show I need to do is man
Yeah.
underneath the monolith because it gets dark. That was at the beginning of the year. So
Oh,
almost
yeah.
like an explosive sacrifice on the new
Definitely
golden
was.
age in 2025.
Breaking in the new year. Two terror attacks in one
Absolutely,
day. Yeah. I look
absolutely
forward to it,
crazy.
though. Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
we'll do
William.
another one. Well, I'm sorry that it didn't work out. We'll have to
It's all
use
good.
Zoom. I don't know. I don't think they want us to record. I mean, I'm dead serious.
They're trying.
It doesn't make sense. Something is going on with StreamYard or something. I don't know what to
Hmm.
say. Andrew Clinton, 6G
Thank you.
agenda. Check it out.
Have a
Okay.
great one.
All right. Let's see if we can do this. Did you record
Hey.
too?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And let me
Let me
see if this
stop the
works.